Thank you. It's delightful to be here to give you some information about ESF, an organisation I've been working with for 10 years, and I've worked in 3 of the kindergartens. I'm therefore truly committed to sharing what a great education ESF offers for children and giving an insight into the kindergartens. So ESF provides education for 18,000 students across its 22 schools, 5 kindergartens, 9 primary schools, 5 secondary schools, 2 all-through schools, and a school that's a specialist for children with individual needs. As well as offering education in schools, they also run a comprehensive programme of out-of-school activities, starting from playgroup and then offering through each of the age groups. The strategic intent of ESF is to be the key driver of best learning and teaching, and we model our education on cutting-edge global innovation, and that ensures that the children receive the highest quality education with us. The vision of every ESF school is for children to be the best that they can be. And we do this through our mission, which you'll see is to inspire creativity and nurture global citizens and leaders of the future. This education is on offer from every kindergarten through primary into secondary. We create joyful learning environments. That is certainly true in the kindergarten. We have exceptional teachers. Because of the size of our organisation, we can pull in the best quality teachers from around the world, and we have a really rigorous process of teacher appointments. We definitely believe that every child is an individual, and we personalise learning. We use assessment and documentation rigorously to ensure that this occurs. We want children to be curious in their learning. We want them to be active in their learning, and you'll see this from beginning to end. So you may be aware that there are 5 ESF kindergartens around Hong Kong. So the ones I've worked with are Tung, where I presently work. I've also worked at Ching Yi, and I've worked in Abacus. I haven't yet worked in Wu Kai Sha or in Hillside. The schools, the kindergartens do not have a catchment area, so you can apply for the kindergarten of your choice. As an organisation, ESF believes that early years is a critical stage of a child's education. It invests heavily in the early childhood provision. And everything we do is intended to bring out the best outcomes for our young learners. And coming back to the idea that learning is joyful, and we create stimulating places in which children can learn. So what drives an ESF education? Whether you go into a kindergarten, a primary school, or secondary school, you'll see active and engaged learners. The curriculum stimulates children to be active and participating and learning individually, in small groups and larger groups, independent of adults, or sometimes with adults. We want children to be collaborative contributors. So the idea behind our curriculum is that children's voices can be heard, and teachers are responsive to what children bring to their learning, and then will ensure that through intentional planning, their learning and their interests develop. The ESF education system wants children to be responsible global citizens. This is one of the reasons why we have the primary years program, because that's a real driver of that curriculum. Right from being very young, Tung Chung are about to launch a pre-nursery class. We want children to be critical and creative thinkers. We'll provide them with the environment, the resources, and the adults that will help stimulate that curiosity and that thinking. Along with that, we're also promoting effective communicators in our students. So we want to hear their voice, and we will facilitate them participating in the experiences that we offer. We also want children to be healthy and resilient. We want children to be able to face the challenges that they will encounter, both in the school context but outside the school context, whether that's as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, or whether that's as an 18-year-old when they're about to embark on their next stage of their life. So I've already mentioned that the schools, the kindergartens and the primary schools, follow the primary years program. That's offered by the International Baccalaureate, the IB. Within the curriculum, we have to offer an additional language, and that is Chinese, within the kindergartens and the primary schools. In all the kindergartens, we understand the value of children learning through hands-on, inquiry, through play-based learning. There is a very close connection between the kindergartens and the primary schools, so that we can ensure that learning that's encountered in the kindergartens will be developed on the curriculum continuum as they move into their primary school. I mentioned earlier that we have a rigorous approach to teacher appointment. So we have highly qualified principals and early years teachers. We also have vice principals who are often the curriculum coordinators. They will meet regularly to ensure that there's continuity across all the kindergartens, so that we learn from each other and with each other to ensure that the curriculum that's offered is the best it can be for supporting children's learning. In all of the kindergartens, we have educational assistants who support teaching, but are also very actively engaged in children's learning. We have a Chinese teacher, or should I say a teacher of Chinese, who supports our Chinese program. In some schools, that's 1 or 2, and other schools, they have a different way of organising their staffing for supporting the children's Chinese language learning. ESF is an inclusive organisation. We welcome children into our schools who have individual needs. To support the teachers and the families and the students, each of the kindergartens has what we call an SEN coordinator, or an individual needs coordinator, who will offer that support. As part of ESF, the kindergartens have access to the ESF advisors and the resources that ESF can provide. We are very fortunate that we have a very in-depth professional development program, so that the teachers are continually learning about best practice globally and how to support and promote children's learning and development. The kindergartens are very active in that professional development. Sometimes we join our primary colleagues, other times we have professional development that's specifically focused on children aged 3 to 5, so we can ensure that their learning is the best in the world. We continually assess children in the early years. We observe children as they play. We observe children as they interact with one another. We have developed our curriculum to identify outcomes in which we are going to be assessing children against. We gather lots of information to ensure that we can then make the children's learning visible for parents and the community. We then share this information through parent-teacher conferences, through reports that we write. All the different kindergartens have an e-portfolio that they have available to parents continuously. We ensure that there's moderation in learning and teaching, so we can ensure that the teaching is on par with what is the expectation across the school and the organisation. And we will develop learning journeys to ensure that the teachers are reflecting on the learning that's gone on, and we know where we're going to next. And we might share that through class blogs. We also have celebrations in school so that we can come together as a community. Homeschool partnerships within ESF, particularly the kindergartens, because that's my passion. We know that parents and teachers working together can have a really positive impact on children's learning and development. So all the kindergartens have a way of working with parents to utilize the parent community skills and experience for supporting the curriculum, but also to ensure that there's good links in terms of our understanding about how children learn in school and how they're learning out of school, and how the experiences in both can really be capitalized upon to support their ongoing learning. We have regular communications between home and school, and there's various ways that schools do that, and they will share that with you once you are a member of their community. Part of the partnership is to ensure that we can educate the parent community on our pedagogy, our beliefs in how children learn best, and we can offer that through parent workshops. Often they take place in school. Most recently, we've of course had to use Zoom, and we realized just what a great tool that is for connecting with our community. So I think one of the benefits of school closure or in-school learning this year has been that we have been able to find platforms that we can ensure that we can connect with parents more readily. Any parent of you with a child who is going to be starting in kindergartens from now will benefit from ESF all through education. So once a place is secured in a K1, children will transition straight through into primary and then on into secondary. If an English medium mainstream school is what your child needs for their learning journey. As I mentioned earlier, we work very closely with our primary schools to ensure that there's a smooth transition and progression from our K2 for our K2 students into year 1. Part of the transition is to ensure that there's a close link with the ESF primary schools, so we do work very closely with the senior leaders and the year 1 plus teachers, again to ensure that there is that smooth transition from one phase of schooling into the next. I'm very conscious of the time actually, so if you look on your school, on ESF school websites, there's often a day in the life of, but I'd like to get on to questions, I think, because I think we've only got a few minutes. So this is a very quick snapshot journey through what an ESF education might offer you and your child. But I know this is an opportunity too for you to ask any questions. So does anybody have any questions about ESF kindergartens or ESF education?
long this is going to last.
Yes.
Although schools are opening up, we don't know what the future lies, where the future lies.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, we are offering, for our K1 students, we offer 2 20-minute Zoom sessions per week. And we feel that's been really beneficial because what it's done is it's helped keep connection between the child and their class teacher, but also has offered them the opportunity to be in a small group Zoom with other classmates, so keeping that personal connection too. In addition to Zooms, we're also offering daily home learning experiences. For our K2 children, we offer 3 Zoom sessions a week, and we we send resource packs home to our students every fortnight for this last term. So we target our learning on the contents of that resource pack. So some parents love Zoom, some parents hate Zoom, many parents sit in the middle. So we're really tried through close communication to identify what my particular parent community are looking for through online learning. But yes, we are hoping that we're going to be school-based in August, but we're also in the back of our mind planning for continued online learning. Does anybody else have any other questions? Good. No, that's good. That's an excellent question. There is still an application process so that you can identify the school that you are wanting your child to go to. Yes. In that sense, just to make it clear, your first preference is linked to your address. So you are in a catchment zone for your in-school school. But within ASF, you also have the opportunity to apply for Discovery College as an all-through school or Renaissance College as an all-through school. So you may choose one of them over your school of zone as your first preference. Yes?
What's the admissions process into the ESF?
That's an excellent question. You would be asked to make a central application in September. So the online application opens on the 1st of September and closes on the 30th of September. Once the application, within the application form, you can identify up to 3 schools. So your first priority, second and third. This is all managed centrally at ESF Centre, and then they would send out a list to the kindergartens as to which families have chosen them either as their first, second or third choice. Because there is a priority order, so the allocation to school would follow those priorities. So debenture, ESF staff, sibling, alumni, they would all be taken into consideration when the school is allocated their list of families. And then we take over as a school and we invite the parents and the children into school for a play visit. This is usually in January. So you make the application in September, you would get a letter from us in November, December. You would then be invited with your child to come into school for a play visit in the January. The play visit lasts for about 30 to 40 minutes, and it would involve a small group of children with their parents come into a classroom that's been set out with kindergarten play experiences, with 2 or 3 members of staff in the room, observing your child's play, making notes of your child's language that they use, and having a conversation with you about past experience, any concerns that you may have, any recent changes in your family circumstance that you feel are relevant to share. There are then criteria in the potential for English language. is our highest criteria. So once we have our list of children that we feel are able to benefit from the English medium curriculum that they will encounter in kindergarten through primary into secondary, then we will allocate places. So parents will be informed in early February. So, thank you. We have about 3 minutes, I think.
I heard that it's very hard to get into the ESF. Can you share with us any tips for the pay visit? And because I don't have any foreign passport, and I heard that we may need to buy the debenture. And do you think we need to buy the debenture in order to increase the chance? Thanks.
I am not going to comment on whether you should buy a debenture. Let me go straight to the tips. When my staff are working with the children during the play visit, we need to see children who are extremely, no, I'm going to step back from that. We need children to know how to play, because as they're playing, language comes naturally. So if you want to do anything, practice playing with your child at home. So get the Play-Doh out. That's what you'll encounter in most of the schools, unless we have some, anyway, COVID-19 would not allow that. We often have drawing materials available, train tracks, cars, dolls, books to read. So just give your children as many opportunities to use those materials at home with you. Some children actually find it really difficult when they have two parents around them, because we invite both parents to attend. And I have had to say to parents, please, could you just step back a little and just give your child some space, because they're literally over the top. So giving your child space, giving them some independence to make choices, this can all be practiced outside of the admissions play visit. And just, if you can just make them feel comfortable in using their language, English if you do have English at home, but we don't want it to be forced. I'll specifically say to parents, we do not want your child to test, we do not want you to test your children during this play visit. We're not interested in whether they know their colours, their numbers, or can write their name. We want them to feel secure and able to function in a play-based curriculum. We need to ensure that our environment will suit the children. Now, in my school, it's an open plan school. So if there are children who find freedom and space difficult to manage, because there are children who do find that, maybe my campus is not right for your child. May prefer to go to a class where there's more closed-in classrooms and the distractions are minimized. So, yeah, be calm, actually, is my big message to any parent in a play visit. Try to be as natural as you can. Parents' anxiety is picked up by children for sure. So, hope that's helpful.
One-to-one? Okay, do you expect to observe children to interact with each other, or just the children with their parents?
Excellent question. If it's natural for your child to engage with other children, that's fine. They're in a relatively small space. There's up to 12 adults and 6 children. If they are around a table at a familiar and favoured activity, like, say, using Play-Doh, then there's probably the opportunity for them to talk and engage with other children. And we will note that down. So, yeah, don't stop your child from playing with others. Oh, I'm really sorry, I've just had the times up. I'm going to be on the ESF stand till 4 o'clock, sorry. So if you do have any further questions, please come and ask. If you leave today and you think, oh, that's a question I'd like to ask, pick up the phone. We're open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we do have the summer break, but if you send emails, then somebody will reply to those. So all the very best in your school choice, and I hope to see you at ESF Tung. or another ESF kindergarten in the future. Thank you.